It's actually.
And if anybody wants an explanation on anything he said tonight, just buy me a beer. I'll work it all out for you. Okay?
You know, the thing is, I don't drink alcohol, and with the ADD thing, it's actually caffeine that slows me down.
I didn't know if when you're still with, you're gonna talk about marketing or anything with seller financing.
Marketing with seller financing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the message to the people has to make sense for them. So if your message is going to landlords, what are you going to be talking about? You're going to be talking about, I could buy your house and preserve the income that you have now and free up your management. You're talking about just free and clear people that are free and clear people. Free, I mean, leans on my kids. Free and clear. The hospital might, right? If you're talking about just like a free and clear owner occupied property, you know, maybe the house is, hey, you know, there's a lot of upkeep. This house, you know, may or may not meet your needs. You know, I have a rancher now that we have somebody's rancher that we're looking to sell. That's through the brokerage, and I just thought of this now. I mean, heck, somebody that's what I do with them. I say, hey, I got a rancher to trade you for your 2-story house that you've owned for 30 years that probably doesn't meet your needs anymore. Within 5 miles of there. So that's, you know, that's the kind of list I would buy. Show me everybody that's got a 2-story home that they've owned for 30 years. That's within a vicinity of this rancher, because I know I can probably I'll trade my who's-its for your what's-its.
Right. Right.
So, any other questions? With,
Yeah.
Oh. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, mine's not a question, go ahead.
When you go to sell the property that's in the trust, I mean, is there any problem? Because everybody wants to know, like, the identity, like with the, you know, with the safe, well, I don't know, the safe act or whatever, just they're all worried about terrorists. I mean, title companies wanna know who you are. And what
Yeah, we don't make terrorists
sell.
our trustees, and we don't commingle funds with beneficiaries that are terrorists. No, when you sell the house, the trusts that I create are just, they're revocable trusts, they're living trusts, inter vivos revocable trusts, irrevocable, if you want to say it. So the trusts are born the day that I buy the house, and they die the day that I sell the house. And they just get dissolved because the asset of the trust that the trust is funded with just gets removed. So once the house is sold, the trust doesn't have anything as an asset, so therefore it's just defunct, it's done. So.
But I was saying that when you go to sell the house and it's gonna be deeded from the trust to the person, or you're saying you revoked it before then, it's in the
No.
name?
You don't have a piece of paper.
The trustee, technically, the owner of the house isn't the trust. The owner of the house is the trustee. The trustee owns the house for the benefit of the beneficiaries under a contract called a trust.
Right.
So
Which I thought was yourself or something, it could be somebody
well, it
else
can
in
be.
your
It can
family.
be. It can be yourself or whatever. I mean, it depends.
I mean, it could, yeah, I could have a daughter or something, but then, so with a
So-
trust like that, you're saying there'll be no questions,
Well,
nobody's gonna.
there's questions, sure there's questions. Here's how it goes. I'm gonna sell a house and I have the trust. The title company says, look, we're gonna give an insurance policy on this thing. We need to know that you're giving us good title. So they'll say, in order to know we give us good title, we see that this is the trust and here's the trustee. We need to see the trust document. And then the trust document, they'll look at the terms of that, and like my trust document says that the trustee is only empowered to do anything upon the direction of the majority of the beneficiaries. So there's a consensus, the majority of the beneficiaries to sell the property. If a good title company is going to say, we need to see a letter of direction from the beneficiaries that directing the trustee to sell the trust. So they say, look, in order to get clear title, the trustee could sign it, and that's it. And most title companies will take that. But if the beneficiaries never told the trustee to sign it, it's not even good title. So what happens is they need to see that full document paper trail. Let's see the trust document, let's see what it says. They'll probably want you to have an affidavit that says, affiant says that the trustee is still the trustee, there's no further trustees, and none of the terms and conditions of this trust have changed. So they want you to sign that because it could change.
And you
So
need a lot of that
I-
paperwork to sell an LLC deal anyway.
Same thing with LLC.
You know, you got to get a letter from the state proving that
Yeah.
they're up to date.
That's what I was gonna say to you.
Very
Tell her
simple.
at the table, you get your license out, they're gonna make a copy of this, show them your LLC paperwork, your operation agreement, whatever. They just want proof who you are, they can touch you, feel you.
Same
Yeah,
thing with the
so
trust.
you're saying it's no worse than LLC.
Exactly.
Alright, okay.
Why don't we go back for a
Good,
second,
good
because
stuff.
most people in this room haven't done seller finance deals, so selling a seller finance deal, you have to actually complete one first. I wanna focus a little bit more on like the mindset that the investor has to have when someone calls you. You got an I buy houses sign on your truck and someone calls you, okay? You don't know anything about this person or anything about the house, all right? So you gotta walk in there with the tools that you have in place to work with, all right? Seller financing is a tool, subject to is a tool. You can buy the house for cash as a tool. And you're gonna figure out in the first few minutes which one of these tools you're gonna be able to use on this particular house. And it's simple, you're gonna go in, I generally go in and say hello and spend 5 minutes with a little personal talk that, you know, people wanna do business with people that they know, like, and trust. So let them know you a little bit, you get to know them, let them hopefully like you, and maybe they feel comfortable with you, that they're even beginning to trust you. Ask for a quick tour of the house, because quite frankly, the details of the house are, if you're doing this long enough, I mean, 5-minute tour, they wanna tell me all about, there used to be a wall here, I don't care. I just wanna look at your house real quick, 3-4 minutes, I'm cool, I don't care how big the place is, I get an idea, and I'm good. Now we sit down and we do you have a mortgage? You do? Tell me about it, you know? How much do you believe your house is worth? So right away you know what they think their house is worth. It doesn't matter if it's even remotely close to reality. That's what they think it's worth, okay? Do they have a mortgage? So you're quickly determining, you know, where we're at with this deal. Now let's just say, for the sake of argument, that this is actually what's gonna happen. Something like this, or something like this. It's either gonna be a seller financed completely, a subject to completely, or a cash offer completely. Or what happens often is a combination of a subject to mortgage with seller financing, or a combination of a seller finance note with cash. So I'll give you an example of what the easiest deal we could think of is seller finance. The guy says, you know, I want $100,000 for this house. The ones on the street are all selling for 80, but I'm not selling mine for 80. I'm selling mine for 100. But you've already determined that he owns it free and clear. So you're gonna come up with his price. You're gonna give him his price. That's critical. Your terms. His price, your terms. So you've established, I'm not one of those guys who's gonna lowball you. I'm gonna give you 100 grand. Nobody will give you 100 grand. I'm gonna. Now you got his attention.
Give him 105.
Right? Then you go back to what Jeremy talked about. What can I rent this property for? I need the structure of terms, the payment to be a payment that my tenants can afford. So you figure out what you can rent it for. You back out $300 a month in profit. You back out the taxes, you back out the insurance, and that number that's left is generally a good place to start. I like to go lower than that number, but you already know very quickly, what do you think this can rent for? $1,200 a month, you know, minus $300, now you're down to $9. What's the taxes? What's the insurance? It's another $200, now you're down to $7. Very quickly you've determined that the maximum amount you can pay this person in terms is $700 a month until the $100,000 is paid off, whatever the hell that works out to be, okay? And you probably start, you know, I'll tell you what, I think I could give you $500 a month for this. You know, would you be comfortable with that? And if you have to go up higher, you go up higher. So that's a way that you've done strictly a seller finance deal. But before he signs the papers, he lays on you that he needs cash for some reason. All right, so now you're bringing in a little bit of your own cash. If it's 5 or 10 grand, it's no big deal. But what if the guy decides all of a sudden that it's $30,000? All right, maybe you don't have $30,000, but you know a private investor who does. Okay, so now you're structuring a cash offer which brings in a private investor in combination with the seller financing. So he said, well, listen, you know, you're asking me for $30,000. It's a little bit of a surprise. I thought we were really close to doing a deal. Tell you what, I'll get you the $30,000. I'm going to give you 100 grand for the house. I'm going to give you the $30,000 in cash. Your seller finance note is now $70,000, but I want you to do me a little favor. I want you to take second position on it. To get the 30 grand, he'll do it. He'll most likely do it. So you go to a private investor. This is now a beautiful deal, okay? You're not going to have any trouble in the world getting a private investor to lend you $30,000 to be in first position with 70 grand in equity behind it, okay? He's going to take that deal. And even if you have a seller financed, if you have a private lender who wants to be in a deal for 2 years, you could always pull them out and replace them with another private lender. So this is a great way to do it. It provides security for the private lender. You get the house that cash flows beautifully because you're structuring you might have to go back and renegotiate the terms that you're paying the seller finance note, because now you got this private lender you got to make mortgage payments to. That happens a lot, okay? A subject to deal that's strictly a subject to deal is a house that's practically underwater. There's a million of those, so you're going to come across this all the time. It's a $100,000 house in his mind, but you're going to show him that the comps are really 80 right now, and he owes 71 on it. You say, look, there's only one way I can do this deal. I'll just take over your note. I'm not giving you any money. And many a times we've said, look, you got to bring $10,000 to the table. A lot of people are afraid to ask that, but I'll tell you what, they say yes to that. More than you would imagine, they say yes to that. So there's a lot of deals where you're strictly doing a subject to. You're just taking over the existing financing. You're not going to pay them a dime more than what they already owe on it. You'll strictly take over the note. If they want out of that house bad enough, that'll be the easiest subject to deal you've ever done. I had people on the phone, pre-qualified. You know, I'll call them up. They called my truck. I got a giant, I buy houses on my truck, and they'll say, you know, tell me about your house. It's worth about 100 grand. And what do you owe on? I owe 88 grand. You know, look, I know right away I can't do this. I'm not doing that. I can't offer them $40,000 for the house because they got a note. So there's only one play here, one play only. I'm going to take over your subject, your mortgage, subject to, and I'm going to tell them right away.
After you find out about their
Provided the terms are
the
good.
structure of their payments,
Yeah, I mean,
number, or we can read it.
I'm not trying to close the deal on the phone, but
Okay.
I'm going into this deal. By this point, I know exactly what the play is.
Gotcha.
Right? And I'm making them, you know, I'm make them pay my closing costs. Look, I'll take over your $88,000 payment on your $88,000 note on your $100,000 house, but you're paying my transfer tax and closing costs. And they'll come up with $5 grand to get out of the deal.
Phil, you're looking for some type of equity for the subject to. Is there like a percentage of equity in the house that she'll do the deal, or like obviously you'll walk away from a deal if it's, you know, totally underwater, but.
Well, in this scenario, I'm giving you a mortgage that's 90% of the value of the house, and then you've even got to ask yourself, do I want this deal at all? Because chances are that's a break even or even a negative cash flowing deal. So you got to be careful there, unless you know you have to make that decision for yourself. Of course, we've all done these deals where you just come in with cash and offer 40 cents on the dollar. That's easy. So now I explained seller financing and cash. Now how about a subject to and seller financing? This happens a lot too. A guy's got a $100,000 house. He's got a $40,000 mortgage on it. Well, he's not going to give you the house for 40 grand, is he? Right? And that's easy. So I'll tell you what, you know, I'll take over your payments and I'll make additional payments to you on a seller finance note. And then you just, in that case, there's no way I'm giving the guy a full price offer on his house. The more, in case you don't realize it, I just want to back up for a second. The seller finance note is absolutely incredibly powerful. This is a 0% interest note, so every dime that your tenants are paying you in rent, you're taking that money to pay off that mortgage. 100% of that payment is going to principal. Okay, you're getting $300 a month, plus you're getting 100% of that payment paid off on the house. Your net worth is going up rapidly, much quicker than any other deal you could structure. So the value in the deal, really, that's your most value. You could pay 40 cents on the dollar here, and here you can pay 100% of the value of the house. That's your best deal. That's your best deal if you can put it together. You need to ask for that. Yeah, Judge.
When you talk about the subject to in the middle, and you get your phone call that they owe 100 grand, and that's pretty much what the house is worth, which is a common situation these days. How do you determine whether or not it's a deal you want to move forward with?
I do extensive research. I pull up at their house. I go on to Zillow. I find out what the houses are worth 3 blocks away. I go in and go, the only way this deal could get done is if you bring $25,000 to the table, right? And That usually won't happen.
Typically, they don't have that cash anyway.
I know. What were you gonna say?
We just had a deal where they were gonna actually, they were gonna take it out of the retirement account because they didn't wanna go to foreclosure.
It would come down to cash flow, I think,
Right.
wouldn't it?
Well, cash flow is a big thing, so.
That's huge, to
I
answer
think
his question.
Is that Ed was saying about would you buy a house if it's, 110% loan to value?
Right.
Well, if it was a 2% loan mod payment, I might, right? Because I could if I could make $400 or $500 a month cash flow, do I care that it's 10% underwater?
Doesn't really matter at that point.
But you have to look at it and say, I wouldn't buy it if it was underwater and no cash flow. No, but if there's a heck of a lot of cash flow, I might.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you could say, I might not buy a deal that's 80 cents on the dollar if it's negative cash flow because I don't want to do negative, you know what I mean? So it also, it's
you
more
could
than one
have it
variable.
totally upside down and you might still buy it. cash flow.
You gotta look
Yeah,
at all
it
the
depends
variables,
on
it's just one variable.
It depends on if you're getting cash flow,
Right,
which
right.
generally you're not, but
Yeah.
occasionally we find ones that have unusual financing. But this is the key thing here. The reason this is so important, it's never been easier to do this than it is today. And I'll give you an example. We found these two Cape Cods in northeast Philadelphia. It was a mother and a son living next door to each other. And we made them offers for 100% seller finance notes. They agreed to take them both. And one of the reasons was their circumstance. They wanted to sell both houses right away. Now that's really hard to do today, right? They want to live together. They were going to move into a condo together and live together. The son's a nice guy, he's taking care of his mom. And we said, hey, we're the guys you've been looking for. We're going to buy both houses right now. We put together a very nice seller finance deal. Now, the value to those deals wasn't the houses. There were nice Cape Cods in northeast Philadelphia, and there's not many Cape Cods in northeast Philadelphia, but the amazing thing that we were celebrating was the financing. We just put together an amazing deal for financing. Well, you never want to, so basically what that means is you never ever want to refi that or pay that off or sell that house because that financing is incredibly valuable. So you would think that we're stuck in that house forever, right? We're going to own that house for 30 years because that's what the payments are structured at, 30 years. But there's another way out of it, okay? You can walk the financing to another house, all right? Right? The seller financing note is incredibly powerful. You want to keep that the rest of your life. You never want to, you're certainly not going to amortize that down early. You just want to move it. So what we talked about doing was, we were involved in a couple of other deals at the time, and we said, we had a private lender who financed, it was about $200,000 for this house we bought in Warminster. We bought it for $160 and we put $40 into it, so we had $200,000 into it, and we were paying an interest rate, and we said, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to sell one of these Cape Cods, and we were maybe even going to sell both of them. And then what we were going to do is we were going to say to the owners of those Cape Cods, because our contracts for the seller finance note had a clause in there that we would have the ability to walk this financing. So we said to them, would you rather have your $150,000 secured against a Cape Cod in northeast Philadelphia, or would you feel more comfortable having it secured against a $250,000 house in Warminster? Well, the $250,000 house in Warminster is a much more valuable house, and it also has probably much better upside. It's a better neighborhood. So if they said, no, you can't walk my financing, I said, fine, we're not going to sell the house. We won't sell the Cape Cod, we'll keep it forever, okay? But if they said, yes, we could sell one of them, maybe we got $225,000 for the house, right? We take that money, and we take the financing, and we just move it to the house in Warminster, keeping it, and we use the $225,000 to pay off the private investor, and we move the seller finance note to take its place.
What was it, 150 each house? I think?
Yeah, they were $150,000 each house, and I believe that the payment was $750 for each house?
Yeah.
Yeah.
1,500.
Right.
The neat thing is we buy the houses for $300, and this is kind of a neat thing for anybody with a financial calculator, or does anybody here have, if you have like a situation where you have a high income and you need write-offs, check out this write-off. we have these two houses for 150,000, right? Well, the value isn't the houses because they're only worth 300,000, let's say. So we're paying retail for the houses, but the financing is a wholesale. So let's just say we just sell the houses for 240,000 for the pair. Let's just say we get 120. So we buy them for 300. The next day we sell them for 240. What does that look like on your tax return? It looks like a loss, doesn't it? Well, if you're walking these loans, if I have a payment of 1,500, was it 1,500, right? 1,500 a month?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 1,500.
So if I have a payment on 1,500 a month with a present value of 240, right? Well, I just discounted my own note by selling the houses for less than I bought them for the next day. I buy a house for 300 today, I'll sell it for 240 tomorrow.
Mhm.
And the trick with that is taking the Warminster house and taking the 240 and sticking it on there. So now we got 240 on here. Our payment's 1,500 on this Warminster house. These houses are long sold, and we have a $60,000 ordinary loss on our tax return, which can offset other income.
You paid the investor in Warminster with the proceeds from the.
Yeah, because this was like 10% interest only,
Oh, okay.
right? I'm saying, like,
No,
that's
yeah.
why we did it, because we were like, okay, you have
Absolutely.
10% interest only, and over here you got 0%. So we moved it there. Now, the reason we're able to get $1,500 a month is a unique situation because, because they're taking two houses and moving into one condo. So the $1,500 a month was fine for them. That covered it. So that was kind of unique, the fact that they had two houses and they were going to consolidate to one smaller one. But moving that loan and discounting your own note, there's a huge amount of tax implications that are great. And then also just getting rid of more dangerous financing, whether it's a higher interest rate or it's institutional. Like if this was a 6% Wells Fargo loan, I would pay that Wells Fargo loan off, and I'd rather have a person on the house.
I'll tell you what, you could
So
use it to
that's-
pay off your own house.
Yeah.
All right, you struck. The point to all this is, I don't want to sit here and give you 800 ways of things you can do with seller finance notes. The point is, the key message tonight is that these things are so valuable that these things will improve your cash flow. You'll pick up beautiful homes. You'll structure the terms that are perfect for you. Instead of going around looking for a great deal, you're going to create a deal. All right, and you can find these things easy. I mean, just start dropping some marketing for free and clear houses, or 1/3 of all the homes in Philadelphia are free and clear. I forget what the numbers were, 56,000 homes or something last time I looked. 28% of all the homes in Philly alone. The point is, if you can put one of these deals together, you can figure out a way where you're keeping that financing in place forever. All right? You can move it to a different house, move it to your own house. That's a great, like, suppose you had a $250,000 loan on your house. Well, go out and drop marketing to free and clear $400,000 homes until you find somebody who will give you a $250,000 seller financed house. Then sell the house, sell the house, take the $250,000, pay off your own home's loan, and move your seller finance note into position, and you just got yourself 100% of your monthly mortgage payments are going to principal.
And it's a human that's on the other end of the phone too. It's important more.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah. You getting all this?
You got it?
Yeah.
The audio is for sale for $20.
There you go.
I know it's, we're not trying to, some people in the room are grasping it, some people aren't, but the point is, this stuff, you have to, even for me, I had to hear it over and over and over again until it started to resonate. I want to touch on one thing before we get out of here tonight, because I'd like to get over to the bar where I do my best thinking. Let's just say, so what I wanted to explain here quickly was, you get in front of a client. Now, I just gave you 5 ways. Seller financing, subject to cash, a combination of these two and a combination of these two. And let's just say that you've met yourself, Harry Hardass, and nothing's gonna work. Nothing's gonna work for Harry, that's it. This guy you can't get through his thick skull. It's like a coconut, and you just can't get through to it, okay? I'm a licensed realtor. I said, well, I'll tell you what, Harry, I got a perfect solution. Give me the listing on your house, okay? Now, what's that do for me? I'm a realtor, I just got a listing, okay? And I might be able to sell his house and make money off of it. But with Harry Hardess, the chances are that's not gonna happen. So by being his listing agent, I become the liaison between him and every single person that comes to look at his house for the next 6 months. So as he's learning that the market will not pay him what he wants, his new buddy Phil is sitting there to walk him through the whole process of pain for the next 6 months. And as he becomes more reasonable, guess who's there to buy his house? Me. Okay?
I was thinking about all those other leads you get of people calling on his sign.
Yeah, well, we just
That's
had
what I was
that.
thinking about.
That's how we found you, right? This is Mark here in a green shirt. He called one of our signs, and we ended up doing a real estate deal together. But you get the point that if so getting a listing is the 6th tool, right? So I'm going in there with my 6 guns. I got 6 ways to shoot you down. I want this house, right? And some of them are quick, and some of them are complicated, and some of them require, to hold his hand for 6 months and have the listing. But you get the point. What do you think my closure rate is on these houses? We're not going to get into percentages, but let's just say this: they're a lot better than most people because I have the most amount of tools to put the deal together. And I didn't bring it with me, but this is my bag. Okay? And inside my bag is another tiny little bag. The tiny little bag is when I go into a house. And inside the tiny little bag is a listing contract, because I might need that. There's a subject to contract. There's a seller financed agreement of sale. There's a regular agreement of sale. There's everything that I need in there to put the deal together. Any one of there's actually more ways than 6, but we don't have enough time tonight. So everything is in there. I'm totally prepared with all the contracts in the bag to make it happen. Now, Jeremy and I are working on something in the future.
Sell Phil's bag.
We're gonna Phil's bag, okay? Phil's bag is gonna be it's gonna be a all-day seminar, and you're gonna get the actual contracts and everything in Phil's bag. It's very valuable. So we're gonna announce an all-day seminar about that coming soon. So it's gonna be it won't be called Phil's bag seminar. All right. So it's about 8:35. You
I
guys.
have a couple things to.
You got a couple things you want to finish up with?
I just want to promote.
Okay, go ahead. Let's hear about it.
Phil told you about. He's got books, Addicted to Real Estate book. If anybody doesn't have this book,
It's a really good book.
yeah, I think it's $21 because a year's passed. He said 20, but he's got 21 years experience now. This is like the book that I have that I can sell you guys. I'd be happy to if you'd be happier with this book than $20. I'd be happier than $20 because I have a surplus of these books. But they're great. They're great, but I can only read. I've read them already. But this is Dan Kennedy, the marketing guru. Dan Kennedy. It was a book, and when Ron LeGrand, when I bought his first package, I spent like 10 grand in one weekend at this like big expo thing. And one of the books he gave away with his package was The Ultimate Success Secret, and it was just a little paperback, little tiny thing. Well, this is now expanded. There's a lot of Philadelphia business entrepreneurs in here. Justin actually wrote a chapter of the book as well. Justin wrote a chapter in here. I wrote a chapter in here. There's a bunch of these are all like Philadelphia entrepreneurs that wrote part of this book here. Each of them's his is 21, mine's only 20.
Actually, I can't charge more for the book just because I've got 21 years. But if you do the math now, the price has actually gone down per year.
Per chapter.
Because it's 21 years, for only $20. So now it's like 91 cents a year. It's actually getting cheaper as every year goes by.
So this is the other thing that I wanted to promote is 2 things with this. We have a brokerage, Realty Mark, and Realty Mark is like it's pretty much a game-changing brokerage. I know a couple of your brokers here, Remax, right? All right, so it's kind of like Remax, 100% commission, right? Except for you only pay $100 a month to get this plan. 100% commission for $100 a month. So if you're an agent or you're thinking about becoming an agent, you can get to keep 100. Your broker doesn't get to steal any of your commission. You get to keep, did I say steal? I'm gonna start sending checks, copies of checks. This is what your check would have been if you closed that last deal with us. But we're looking for agents. Would you think we're investor-friendly office? Yeah. So you gotta get to hang out with us in the office and you know, come in there, do closings, meet our title people, do all that stuff. But for $100 a month, you can become a realtor in our office, and you get that exit strategy that Phil's talking about. I can't buy your house, but why don't you let me see what the market can do for you? And now your exit strategy, all those houses that you walked out of that you couldn't buy, boom, get the listing contract, and you can even refer it to somebody who'd be willing to deal with it in our office, rather than deal with it yourself. You can say, you know what, I got the listing agreement, but I'm gonna put co-listing there, you know, Joe Blow, that's in the same office. Joe, here's a contract, you're on it, I'm on it, give me 25% when you're done. And that's another exit strategy of houses that you can't buy. So the other thing with this is we are looking for, and I'm only looking for about 10, I'm dealing with the MLS, the trend people, and we have a subscription that we can have for unlicensed assistants in our office. We need people that wanna learn real estate, learn how to run their own comps, where you get your own login and password. You know, we don't do any of this like you're gonna share a password with somebody. You get your own access to the MLS. There's certain things that we have, certain requirements that we have, but for $59.87 a month, $59.87 a month, you can have access to the MLS, and we'll even have the trend people come out and do a training on how to use it and all that stuff. So you can run your own comps. You can look at public records. You want to know if somebody's house has a mortgage on it or not? You pop into the public records side of the MLS, pull up their house, it shows you the last deed, shows you the last mortgage. So is that pretty cool or what? You can go out, going out to the house, you already know if there's a mortgage on the house or not.
You can download lists.
You can export 5,000 public records names, so you can actually do searches for show me all the duplexes in Central Bucks School District, and you can download that list and send a mailing out to that list. There's a lot of things.
It's an incredible tool, is what it is.
Yeah. So we're bundled up. So for $59.87, that's a monthly thing that you can subscribe to. If anybody's interested in that, just come see me. I want to. We have like 10 that we can do in the office for now, and then we're gonna expand it later. But so that's another thing. So you can, you know, for $100 you can become an agent and do the agent thing. You get 100% of your commission. If you just need it, like most of us need it for research. Like we want to look at if we're gonna buy a house, how do you know what the house is worth? You can go to Zillow, but if you're putting dollars on the table, you know, I want to run full comps. I want to see what the interiors of those properties look like when they sold. I want to see the descriptions. You know, Tom's an appraiser. He knows. You know, Zillow's fine, right? You don't need appraisers.
Right. If you want to take a tax assessment as a value of your house, sure.
Yeah. So there's some really good value out of that, and also you can see there's a lot of information. So if you know, access to MLS is something that I think you know, it's really, I don't know how you can not have that kind of a tool. And if you're sharing it with if you're sharing your password with a realtor, we actually have a legal way that you can do it in our office. So yeah. So that's what I have to offer. Anybody interested in that, the MLS thing? Raise your hand.
I'm interested in that.
Okay, so I probably already have your business cards, but maybe just put your name. We'll find your, you know, come up here and just give me your card again and put MLS on it or something. And any agents that want to hear more about the $100 a month, 100% commission plan, we can do like a private thing where we can sit down and talk about it. Phil's been a recruit machine for our office. We also have.
How many do you have now?
It's 10 in 9 weeks. So.
Nice.
Yeah. It's the easiest thing in the world to sell. Let me see. You're paying 64% of Keller Williams. We pay 100.
You're paying. How much you pay?
Ask
a month
the agents in here. What would be the an objection?
How much do you pay a month at Remax? A lot.
$3,000? How much?
1,500.
I got a great deal.
Great deal. Better than 100%. So, who else is an agent here? What's your program?
I'm with Casadon. I just went with them. I was with Pat White Realtors for 15 years before that, but Casadon probably 40%.
40%. Okay. So there's a, you know, for 100, if you're willing to bet $100 a month on your own abilities, that's really what it comes down to. There's some people that say like, look, I have a split where I'm at, but I don't have to pay anything to be there. We even pay your errors and emissions insurance, so that's a huge
You're
thing.
kidding me? I just paid those $450.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is it prorated?
I actually sent out emails 2 weeks ago that said, don't pay your E&O just yet, call me.
Yeah, I mean, with our 100% plan, there's a transaction fee of $275, which you typically pass on to your client. It's actually in our listing agreement or our buying agreement. And there's a $350 conveyancing fee, but that's it. Yeah, it's 100%. So,
Okay.
the nice thing is you have flexibility. You want to do flat listings, you want to become an agent,
Right, right.
flat listings, you just do a flat listing. Now, the flat listing